Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Dean Vaughn Podcast Show, coming to you live from Las Vegas, Nevada. I hope everyone is doing awesome out there. This episode brings me back to 1978 on my birthday when I got in my first real rock band. And I got the opportunity to meet the lead guitarist of this new band. His name was Bruce Paller. I had just turned 15 years old at the time and in search for my first rock band. And yes, I had already been playing with my neighborhood friends, and I was actually playing the drums at the time. And for my birthday, I was given this really cool Farfisa Organ. This keyboard was used by a number of popular artists at the time, Sam the Sham, Pink Floyd, Sly Stone. We had Blondie, the B-52s. So I combined the Farfisa sound with my CAT Synthesizer that I had at the time. And wow, did I have some groovy sounds. Wow. And so back to when I met Bruce. It was my 15th birthday. And I was living in Covina, California at the time. I read this ad in the newspaper, band looking for keyboard player. I immediately said to my dad, hey, can you please take me to this audition, for this band? They're over in West Covina. He said, sure, since it's your birthday. I was so excited to get in a real band for the first time. Playing with my friends was fun and cool, and pretty sure we weren't going anywhere at the time, anytime soon. So I had to get this party started, if you know what I mean. So let's bring Bruce in, Bruce Wayne Paller, and get his side of the story. I'm pretty sure I'm leaving a few things out. So let's give him a call right now.
Hello?
Hello, is this Bruce Paller?
Yes, who's this?
This is Dean Vaughn, the lead singer for Aftershock.
Oh, shit, Dean, how the hell are you, man?
Gosh, I know.
I haven't heard from you in a long time, son of a gun.
The last time I saw you was at the Aftershock reunion.
Oh, that was so much fun. Man, that was great.
Yeah, we had a few fans there that day. That was a lot of fun. And so welcome to the show today, Bruce. I'm glad to be here, man. Yeah, awesome. Hey, do you remember, and before I get started, so what's going on with you now? Where are you living? What are you doing?
Well, right now I've been living in Rancho Cucamonga with my wife. We've been living here for about 21 years now.
Nice.
And I'm semi-retired. I still work part-time. I collect Social Security, and I still do music. I don't play live anymore. I kind of retired from that.
Right.
But I still do a lot of recording, mixing, and mastering and whatnot.
And you're using a DAW as well. You're doing some recording. What are you using?
Well, I have my setup in one of my rooms. I've got a PreSonus setup with a PreSonus interface. Nice. And I use a two-computer setup, and I have a separate interface for my other computer. And, I still play. I record some songs from time to time. And also, I work with some songwriters from time to time.
Okay, cool.
Getting their ideas down and doing some recordings with them and whatnot, getting their songs together.
Are you still singing and playing guitar?
I do a little bit of singing, not as much as I used to, I just recently quit smoking, so, not recently. I've been smoke-free now for about 7 months.
Good for you, man. Good for you.
So I can sing better now than I had been, but I did a lot of singing back in the Aftershock days, I remember.
You did a lot of singing. A lot of times I believe you sang a lot of Beatles. You sang some originals. You sang all kinds of stuff. You and Mark Macy used to come up and sing.
Yeah, we did, yeah.
Remember Rick Martella?
Oh, how could I forget?
He used to come up and sing.
He was such a joy to play with. That guy was so much fun.
Oh my God, that was early Aftershock when we did High.
Yes, very early Aftershock.
Remember we recorded High as a Kite and Under My Skin?
Yeah, I remember that, and I also remember the very first time you came to audition for Aftershock. I remember putting an ad out in the recycler and looking for a keyboard guy. And then I got a call, I think, from you.
Right.
And you came down with your dad at the time. And oh my God, you walked in. We were playing in my dad's garage. We had it converted into a sound studio. And we had everything set up in there. And you come in, oh my God, this must be late 78,
right,
early 79.
Right.
And I'm looking at you, and you look like this little kid with freckles. And you're carrying this suitcase organ.
Oh my God!
And I'm thinking to myself, who in the heck? What the heck is going on?
That was that Farfisa was a suitcase organ. That's right. It's portable.
The suitcase organ, and you begin to set it up, and you plug it in. You had your amp and everything. And my God, this organ sounded so cool, you know. It had that little drop-down thing.
Oh, that was the volume pedal. That was a drop-down knee.
You
my knee volume
with
pedal.
Your knee. You were standing up,
right.
and you had your knee, and you were manipulating the volume with your knee. And I thought it was so cool, you know.
Yeah, and you guys were doing some Deep Purple, I think, or something at the time.
At the time, you know, and I remember
April Wine.
We had, I think Rick Martello was the drummer at that time.
We went through
Terry Hopper was the lead singer.
Right.
And a guy named Carlos Gonzalez was playing bass.
That's right. Carlos was on bass.
And, you know, the thing is Aftershock was already a band. I mean, I had the band together since 78, really. We actually had done some gigs, and we wanted to add a keyboard player, so that's where you came in.
Ah, okay.
And I remember we played. You were auditioning for us, and
right.
Afterwards, after the audition, you packed up your shit and you left. And I remember sitting around with the guys, and they asked me, well, what do you think? What do you think of this little kid? I go, God damn, this kid is great, man. We ought to get him in right away. And the guys go, yeah. So, we talked for a little bit, and then we said, okay, give him a call. He's in.
That's amazing, because I didn't feel I was worthy, to be honest with you, at the time. Because you guys were all...
You definitely, you were playing all your little blues licks and whatnot. You impressed us, put it that way. But at the time, you were auditioning for a keyboard player.
Yes,
right?
That's all I was auditioning for. It was keyboards.
Right, and we played gigs. We did so many gigs, but after Terry Hawker, the lead singer, left the band...
Thank God.
You were the natural choice to come out as our new lead singer.
Was this after Ron Grippo?
This was after Ron Grippo.
Oh,
actually,
my God.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself.
I think I remember Ron Grippo.
After all, it's been over 40 years. But what I remember is we did some gigs together with you as a keyboard player and with Terry Hawker singing.
Right.
After Terry Hawker left the band, we auditioned a guy named Ron Grippo. And he was really good. He was a Judas Priest fanatic, right?
Oh yeah, he had a extremely high voice.
We did some gigs with him as the lead singer, and I remember doing Gazzarri's. We played Gazzarri's with him a couple of times, and
did we?
Rick Martello was on the drums.
I don't remember.
I remember it being. We did really good back then. We had a pretty good following.
I think I blacked out. I must have blacked out. I don't remember Ron playing Gazzarri's.
Yeah, well, I have pictures.
Do you? Wow.
Yeah, I have pictures of Ron Grippo singing lead at Gazzarri's.
I believe you, man. You remember more than I do.
Yeah, and then a couple of times during that show, a couple of shows, Rick Martello would come out front and do his Stones thing.
Rolling Stones.
And you would go back and play the drums while he was out front.
That was fun.
And the fans loved it, really. They really liked us
remember
a lot.
Rick...
At the time, we weren't really doing a lot of originals. I think we were doing more covers. But as the time went on, we started doing a lot more songwriting together. And we started being an all-original band, which I really liked.
And people liked it. We went out on stage. We did an original set. Man, the band really took form early on with the original show.
Early on.
Yeah. And the only reason we threw in the covers was to keep those people happy. That
right.
Bill Gazzarri came to me one night and says, "Hey man, you're gonna have to be playing 3-4 sets tonight." I go, "Wow, we only have like 20-30 originals. I don't know if we can play that long." So, of course you sang "Twist and Shout" by the Beatles.
Yeah, I remember that.
And you did some Jimi Hendrix, I think.
I think so.
Mark Macy did some.
Oh, and we used to do some Aerosmith. We used to do that. Train kept a rolling.
All night long. Oh my!
Yeah, we did that. And we did some Zeppelin too.
We did some rock and roll. Led Zeppelin.
Right.
We did a whole bunch of cool stuff.
And then we had our originals at the time.
Yeah.
Didn't have a whole lot of them, but we did have some, and we used to play those too. But
yeah,
I remember that as the time went on, we would do more and more originals and less covers.
Yes, that was cool. Remember, we got Gary Staffa in the band for a while.
Yeah, at that time, we went through a hell of a lot of drummers for some reason. We couldn't hold on to a drummer for the life of us.
Drummers are a dime a dozen. No offense, drummers out there, but to find.
But for some reason, we had an issue with drummers.
Yeah,
and we must have went through at least a half a dozen drummers.
Yeah, we went through a half a dozen drummers. Thank God we didn't do that with guitar players and bass players. That would have been a nightmare. That's like starting over again,
Yeah, it sure was. Although we did have a bass player issue.
That's right.
Until Mark Canada came along. But
thank God for Mark, right?
After Canada, we didn't have any more bass player issues.
No, man, Carlos was a lot of fun, though. Do you remember Circus Disco Hollywood with
God
Carlos Carlos Gonzalez?
I'm sitting there. I had no idea what kind of bar this was,
Carlos Gonzalez. Do you remember how homophobic he was?
Oh, yeah. And we go in there, right? And we set up. We had no idea it was a gay bar, number one.
Well, yeah,
I did.
It was completely gay bar.
And sudden,
women and men.
We start playing.
Yeah.
We started playing, and all of a sudden I'm looking at the crowd dancing, and there were guys dancing with guys and stuff, and I'm thinking, oh, shit, it's a gay bar. And not that it made any difference to me, but, I did not know at the time, No,
and I there's one poignant moment when me and Carlos went to the bar.
Yeah.
And I go, Carlos, listen, we're taking a break. Remember they had us roped off? They had a huge roped off section.
Right.
I guess for our own protection, I'm not sure. And so I dragged Carlos to the bar, right? And we walk up, and Carlos has got his bass guitar in his hand as a weapon. He's holding it in front of him like he's gonna hit someone. The first person that touches him, he's gonna club them with the bass guitar. And I'm walking.
That was,
No, this is
those kind of memories.
This is a true story. This is a true story. I'm telling you.
Absolutely,
I'm not making this up at all. So I go, let's go get a beer, and he brings his bass guitar and he's holding it in front of him like, stay away, man. I'm only just getting a drink here. I go, lighten up, bro. And go, they don't go after straight people. They're not going to mess with you. Just order a drink. And let's get back to the stage. Oh my God, I never forget how paranoid he was. And just for the audience to understand, Carlos Gonzalez, he lived over in...
And, I remember it turned out to be quite a nice gig, actually.
That was a great gig. It was a great gig.
They loved us. They really loved us and whatnot. But I do remember it very clearly. It was a fun time. We played so many gigs. The thing I remember most about Aftershock was how fun it was to be in that band.
Oh, my God. We had so much fun.
Dean, we had the best time. I swear I had the best time of my life in that band. It was so much fun.
Dude,
and one of the funnest parts of being in that band was the backyard parties.
Oh my God! I put that in my show notes to talk about the backyard parties, and you're kind of jumping ahead. You're jumping ahead three show notes here.
Oh, okay.
But
we'll get to that. Then we'll get to that.
Let's talk about that because
when you first came in the band, I don't remember doing a lot of backyard parties, but they started really getting popular back in the late 70s and early 80s.
Well, let me introduce the Aftershock backyard parties, and this is what I was going to say, Bruce, were frickin' epic. Just so the audience knows, Aftershock was known for some of the biggest, loudest, craziest backyard parties in Southern California, and mostly in the San Gabriel Valley area, Pasadena, West Covina, El Monte, Baldwin Park, Azusa, Glendora. just to name a few cities. This was in the early 80s, right, Bruce?
Yeah, they were very popular at the time, and a lot of bands were doing them.
I think we played with Van Halen at one of those backyard parties. It was
I don't really recall
awesome.
Specifically if we did play with Van Halen, but the backyard parties I remember, we usually just did them as with one band, which was us.
Right, we were usually the headliner.
I don't remember. Yeah, well, I don't remember any other band playing with us at backyard parties, but I could be wrong, except one time we did a backyard party in Covina, and we played with a band called The Decadents.
The Decadents are totally cool, man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, love The Decadents.
Right. But the backyard parties were so much fun. We did a couple at my dad's house in West Covina. we would get kegs of beer.
Right off the 10. That was right off the 10 freeway.
We charged $2. Yeah, we would charge $2 to get in. You could drink all the beer you want, right?
I remember. I think your dad ran the party.
And the people would come in droves. I mean, you couldn't park on my street. You had to park a couple of blocks over.
Do you remember the SWAT team? The SWAT team invaded your house one night? You remember that?
One night, a couple of times it happened. The police would come and break up the party. They would come in their riot gear and billy clubs.
Yeah.
It's like, people would get rowdy, though. They'd be throwing beer bottles and whatnot.
And I tell this story all the time, Bruce, about those backyard parties, and nobody believes it. Remember they used to knock down the fences? There would become a 3-house party. The neighbor would come over and go, "Hey, man, just knock down the fence. I'll buy a kegger and let's make this, let's make this party happen."
It's funny, man, that those days are so much gone. I mean, you never hear about that happening nowadays, but that was one of the funnest parts of being in Aftershock, was those backyard parties.
Oh my God.
And it was incredible. But
remember, some of the gangs would show up. We had the Allwood gang, the Sea Boys.
Oh God.
We had there was 3 gangs that would always come to our backyard parties. And that's what mainly brought the police there. Is they knew that it was going to be a ruckus, And I remember they would come to me and say, "Hey, you're the host. Why don't you tell everyone to depart or leave the party?" And I would tell everyone, "Hey, party's over. We're going to do one more song." And everybody knew that was cue for come back in 15 minutes. Right? You remember that?
Right.
They would come back.
But those backyard parties were great for a number of reasons. But one of the reasons I really liked them was because it helped us prepare ourselves to play clubs. It made us more professional, to play the club scene. It was great.
Absolutely.
Great for us to get better. We would rehearse a lot of new material at backyard parties.
Yeah, we're doing Van Halen, The Cars, Led Zeppelin, Aerosmith.
Right. And it would help us become a better band, and help us later on when we were doing the clubs in Hollywood and whatnot.
Absolutely. The backyard parties were epic, bro. I mean, epic.
Yeah.
I talk about the helicopters and the, 100 SWAT team members coming down the street. It looked like a black cloud coming down. And everybody would be, pushed out. And then about 20 minutes later, here they come. And we always did 3 or 4 more songs, and then we'd throw the equipment in the van and get out of there. Remember that?
Get the hell out of there.
The cops said, "We're going to take your equipment."
Right. And I remember we had a couple of them at my dad's house in West Covina, and they would charge like $2 a head, right?
$2 for all you can drink and a live rock band.
And a live band, and I swear to God, at the end of the night, man, we had like $300, $400, $500.
Oh yeah, I remember us counting the dollar bills on the bed. Remember?
Yeah,
we were splitting up the money. Right. That was fun.
Yeah, my dad would love that because he got a cut.
That's
too.
right. Your dad was our manager.
Yeah.
Well, so backyard parties were cool. Let's move on to our very first professional recording, and there was 2 of them. There was Aftershock's first single, "High as a Kite," and "Under My Skin," and I just want to touch on that, and then we'll move on to the second single. What was your best experience during that recording, Bruce?
I don't really remember the actual recording of that single. I think it was in a recording studio, but I don't think it was a professional studio. It was some guy's house that he had a studio set up.
I think it was at Rick's house, wasn't it? Rick Martella?
think so. I think it was at another house in the Azusa, not Azusa, but the West Covina area.
Yeah,
I could
vaguely
be wrong.
remember
my
that.
memory might be a little gray in that area.
Yeah.
But I do remember the recording. It went down pretty good, and we had a single pressed out of that. And I don't remember too much. I don't think it got any airplay.
No, it didn't get any
at
airplay because I don't think we ever played it for anybody. We just kind of printed it out and handed it out.
And only a very few copies were pressed.
Yeah, I actually have one. I actually have one sitting in front of me right here.
Yeah, well, that's a true collector's item, dude.
Yeah, it's got a bite mark out of it, but I think it's still spinning. And so then we went on to do our second single. Now on to the big stuff I have in my show notes here. Let's talk about our second single, Nevermind and Midnight Fairy Tales. Now let me introduce Sissy. It was with Mark Macy on drums, Mark Kennedy on bass, the infamous Bruce Paller on lead guitar and vocals. And I happen to, I still have that single here in front of me. I just converted it. I think you helped me with that, Bruce. I'm not sure. You sent me a copy. Nevermind and Midnight Fairy Tales as a MP3. And I was able to put that into the podcast show today. And so if you don't mind, if I maybe roll a clip of, let's start off with Nevermind. Was that side A?
Go ahead.
Was that side A?
That was side A.
Okay, so let me adjust my headset here. I am going to spin Nevermind from the Rock Band Aftershock. Hope you like it.
Remember when we met?
Okay, what'd you think of that, Bruce?
Brought back a lot of memories, that's for sure.
Yeah, man, that song was awesome. Do you remember hearing it on KLOS for the first time?
I don't remember that, but I do remember Mark Macy and I went to do a college radio interview with one of the DJs at the local radio station at one of the, I think it was
Mount Sac.
What's the name of that car?
Mount Sac.
It wasn't Mount Sac. It
Chapman.
was out in Orange County.
Chapman College. I remember that.
And Mark Macy and I went down there, and we did an interview with the guy. His name was Dave something, and he played the single. And, we did a little interview. It was real nice and everything. And I don't remember actually hearing it on KLOS. I mean, they could have played it at some point.
Well, they did play it, and I was at a backyard party when they played it. I just wanted to see if you had heard it.
Yeah, I don't know if I can't remember hearing it, but I do remember that you and Mark Kennedy were able to take those singles and get them on consignment at Tower Records at the West Covina Mall. If you remember, you brought they were for sale at some point there at the Tower Records. I don't know if you remember that.
I do remember. I think I brought them there and put them on consignment.
Right.
And I also gave the store manager some hats and some T-shirts. I had to kind of bribe him, to take these records,
Right.
And he cleared out a spot in Tower Records for our single. And I think it
was so cool.
Yeah, and when we did a gig, I think that weekend, I think at Gazzari's or something. And I was able to say, hey, everyone, go down to Tower Records and pick up our new single. That was really cool.
It was. I don't remember how many we sold, but it was nice to have that in there,
Yeah. So without further ado, I'd like to move on to Midnight Fairy Tales. You mind if I give that a spin?
Go ahead.
Okay, so this song hasn't been played in ages. So this song is called Midnight Fairy Tales, recorded by Aftershock. Hope you enjoy it.
Searching high and low, I can't find you anywhere. Whoa, whoa, off the top of our town, no one's seen your face around. You think you're really slick, and you got me on the run. Oh yeah, but I'm just playing your little head games and having fun. Won't you tell me how you feel? How can you go on making me listen to your midnight fairy tales? You feed me full of lies and then you expect my love. Ooh, yeah. You look into my eyes and say I'm the only one. Whoa. But I'm not wise to your decision. Won't you tell me how you feel? How can you go on making me listen to your midnight fairy tales? Ooh. Won't you tell me how you feel? How can you go on making me listen to your midnight fairy tales? Searching high and low, I can't find you anywhere. Whoa, whoa. Up the door of our town, no one's seen your face around. Whoa, whoa. But I'm not wise to fairy tales.
what a great song. What'd you think of that, Bruce?
Yeah, it was great. Thing about those two songs, though, at the time, if you remember, the big thing on the strip was the hair metal. A lot of heavy metal going on, a lot of hair metal going on.
Yeah.
Those two songs really didn't fit in the mold of metal or hair metal. They were more poppy.
They were very poppy, almost like a K-poppy or something like that.
Kind of. So, and that kind of made us stand out a little bit from all the other bands that were on the strip at that time. They weren't really playing poppy stuff like that. They were playing more hard rock stuff, I remember.
Yeah, we remember Control. Remember Z?
Oh, of course.
And White Lace, playing down at Gazzari's. White Lace, I think Timmy Gaines was the bass player at that time.
At that time, yeah.
And, man, there's Brand Boulevard. I'm bringing back some old memories here.
Old memories.
We were playing with a lot of 80s hair bands at the time.
Yeah.
We were called a hair band for a moment.
We were.
I guess because we had long hair.
Yeah.
And I did throw on a scarf here and there, so it was almost like a cross between the hair band and the glam, era.
But we did play the hard rock stuff. We did have some hard rock tunes in our repertoire. But
yes.
those particular two that we recorded, they weren't really hard rock songs, but we did do hard rock.
Give me the hardest song or the most hard rock song that Aftershock played. Can you give me one original?
I would have to say original or cover.
Give me one cover and give me one original.
All right. Well, I would have to say, Train Kept a Rollin' was pretty hard.
Train Kept a Rollin', okay.
We did Rock and Roll by Zeppelin.
Sure, Rock and Roll. Hard. I think everyone's done that song.
One of the originals, I remember, a couple of them, actually. One called Aqua Blue.
Aqua Blue. Now, I forgot all about that song.
There was a song called Aqua Blue, which was really hard and heavy. Then we did another one called User Loser.
User Loser. Did you write that song, User Loser? I can't remember.
Yeah, it was pretty heavy. Yeah. And then another one that was pretty heavy was a song called Toys and Joys.
Oh, my God. You wrote that song. I remember now.
I wrote that one.
Yeah.
So we did have a couple of heavy originals, too. So
Toys
that was
and Joys. Cool. Man, that song. I can't believe you remembered that.
Yeah. I actually have... I have some recordings of Aftershock playing those songs on my computer somewhere. I'd have to dig them out. But anyway, that's for another podcast.
That's another podcast. Yeah. I just can't believe those songs I completely were erased from my memory. Right. Toys and Joys and Monkey. What was the Monkey song you wrote?
Oh, I don't remember any Monkey songs. There was a Monkey song?
Spank Your Monkey?
Well,
you wrote Spank Your Monkey.
That one blows my mind. I'd like to hear that one again. I don't remember that one.
That because you said Toys and Joys, I just remembered Spank Your Monkey. And you wrote that song.
I don't remember that song, Dean. I have to be honest with you.
I think the Decadents played it. They love that song.
I think some songs are better off forgotten. Yeah. That might be one of them.
That's one of them. And so I have in my show notes just what I say. So after we recorded Nevermind and Midnight Fairy Tales, this was the early 80s. We began to play the Hollywood clubs, and you pretty much touched on, a lot of the Hollywood strip there. And I went on to say we played at Gazzari's, the Whiskey A Go-Go, the Roxy, the Starwood, the Troubadour, and many more clubs in the Hollywood area. And I said things were much different on the strip back then, and that's probably an understatement.
Yeah.
And so my question to you was, what was your favorite experience when we played in Hollywood?
Oh, God, there's so many of them.
Well, I know. And that's kind of, I wanted to remember to say that because I wanted to hear it from you. What was your poignant moment in Hollywood?
This one sticks out in my mind that I'll never forget. We were playing Gazzari's one night. And, we played there so many times back in the early 80s. We were like a fixture back then.
Right. We were the house band.
Played Friday. Yeah. We would play Friday and Saturday night, get $125 each night, which was unheard of at the time.
Right.
But one time we played there, and we were on a break, and I was thinking, okay, it's time to go back on. let's go back on. So we get to the stage, and there's no Dean. And I'm thinking, where's Dean? He's supposed to be back on the stage. We're going to play any minute now.
Oh, no.
I go, where is he? Well, I go, oh, man. Does anybody, I'm shouting into the microphone, does anybody know who Dean is? Dean Vaughn, come to the stage.
Dean Vaughn, come to the stage,
One
please.
Of the
we need a lead singer over here.
Look for you. I don't know if I can say this on the podcast, but
you can say whatever you want.
You can edit it out if you want.
It's non-censored. Say anything you want.
One of the roadies came back and told us Dean's in the women's restroom banging some chick.
Oh, man. There's certain people don't know that story.
God damn it. I thought, get him out here now.
Get him out here.
We're due to go on. So that was one thing I remember that was so funny. I mean, we laughed about it back then, too.
Yeah, I got a free round of drinks because of that, Bruce,
Dude, you always got a free round of drinks. Remember Pete, the bartender?
Pete's the one Pete set that up. Yeah. Pete set that whole thing up, Yeah. I was at the bar, and Pete looked down at me and says, "Yeah, you want a free round of drinks for the band?" I said, "Sure."
Sure, bring them on up.
Well, you need to do this favor for me. I said, "Okay."
Yeah.
And so we played many gigs together, including Gazari's, of course. But do you remember the fairground concerts that we played?
Yeah, I do. It was Ventura County Fairgrounds.
Ventura County.
Yeah, it was a great gig. The thing is, Dean, we played so many shows from 1979 through 1984 or 5. We must have played a couple of hundred gigs easy.
Oh, I would go above a couple of hundred. I would get closer to 1,000.
Well, possibly with all the backyard parties.
I think we did three gigs in one day.
One time, I think we did.
Remember when we played the March of Dimes?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, think about the times where we sat up, broke down, and played a backyard party the same night.
Yeah.
Of course,
we could do that back then because we were younger and had a lot of energy.
I couldn't do that today.
No. But I also remember, we also did other clubs, too, in Hollywood. We did that Madame Wong's.
Oh, I forgot about Madame Wong's. Yeah. Yeah,
that was a very popular place back in the early 80s. A lot of bands played there, and we did a club called HJ's. I remember that.
HJ's? Oh, I forgot about that too.
It was on Lakersham, and then we did
North Hollywood.
Yeah,
North Hollywood. And FM Station. Remember FM Station?
I remember FM Station. Yes, and also the Great Gatsby in El Monte.
The Great Gatsby in El Monte. That's
Macau,
the name. Yeah,
Whittier.
Yeah. Wow. You got a good memory, Bruce.
No? I also remember the Starwood. We played there once from what I remember, and that was a really popular hangout back then.
Yeah, I think that place got shut down. There was a drug bust. They boarded it up.
Yeah, it was. Right.
And then short after we played there, Motley Crue played there.
Right. And I also remember, Dean, I want to go back because this one memory that I had of you. It was very early on that you were in the band, and you said, Bruce, this must have been like 1979 or early 1980. You were in the band, and you said, and we were hanging out one day, and you said, Bruce, let's go visit my friend over in Covina. His name is Tommy. and I said, all right, let's go see him, man. Let's go see him. So we get up to his house. He was living with his mom and dad at the time.
You were with me when I went over his house.
I was.
I forgot all about that.
We walk in there, and his living room was huge, right? He had his.
That's when he lived in Covina, Tom Bass.
He lived in Covina.
Yeah, he lived in Covina with his
mom
parents.
And dad.
Right.
And we walk in there. I walk in there, and he's got a double kick drum set up, taking up almost the entire living room. The thing was massive, right?
Yeah.
And he comes walking in, right? He had this long hair at the time. Really cool kid,
Oh, yeah. Really cool. Tommy was totally cool.
This was either right at the beginning of the crew or before he got into the crew.
I think he just got in the band when you met him.
Right. And they were just starting out like everybody else. But
they hadn't even got Vince in the band yet. That's when they were looking for a
and
singer.
Then, he got behind the kit and he played a little bit. Man, I thought, this guy's fucking awesome, man.
Yeah.
And
Tommy could play the fucking drums awesome. I'll tell you right now, man, that guy's badass.
Right. And then I remember the second time I met him, we were playing the Whiskey one night, and we were upstairs in that room partying with everybody. And They had, if you ever played the Whiskey, there's an upstairs room there that you walk up a flight of stairs, and it's like a big room where everybody hangs out and parties, right?
Like the green room over there?
Yeah, it was upstairs. And I remember walking, up there, and all of a sudden, Tommy and Vince come walking in. This must have been about 80 or 81, maybe.
Well, that's when they were hanging out in Hollywood a lot. That was before they were,
They were the coolest dude. Vince comes up to me, shakes my hand, and goes, "Man, you guys were good and everything." And Tommy was rolling joints with Claudia at one of the tables.
Oh, my God.
And passing them around. So I was able to, this was before they hit the big time. But,
you sure he wasn't rolling $100 bills up for something else?
No, he was rolling joints.
Doing some lines?
He was sprinkling some cocaine on those joints too, by the way.
I'm sure he was. That was Tom's thing, man. I'm not going to divulge his personal life, but he loved his white stuff.
Right. Do you remember the Timbers?
Oh yeah. Lots of great moments of the Timbers and not so great moments.
But one moment I remember vividly, and this was like 1984, I believe. We had a gig there, right? And we get there, and I went, who are we opening up for? Who's playing on this bill tonight?
Right.
And all of a sudden, I look at the flyer. We opened for Guns N' Roses.
Well, I tell that story all the time. Now, the question I have for you, was that their official name at the time?
Yes,
because
it was Slash.
It was Slash and Axl.
Yeah,
and I
saw
thought
a
maybe
flyer. It said Guns N' Roses at the Timbers, but it said
so it was Guns N' Roses. Yeah, so we opened up for him at the Timbers.
Right, and then
I remember that night like it was yesterday because I remember shaking his hand.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you, and he threw up all over my hand.
Yeah,
I felt this wet stuff. I go, what's going on? And he was kind of like, I don't know what was going on with him, man. But I had to go wash my arm. But that was the first time I met Axl.
Yeah, I remember seeing those guys backstage before they went on, and I swear to God, Dean, they looked like a bunch of drugged out lowlifes. I mean, they were all high on heroin or something.
At the time, they were at their peak, in the drug use, man.
They looked terrible.
That was early on. Yeah, imagine the record company's nightmare dealing with a rock band.
They were all on doing the H, and they just were lying. They were lying about backstage. Like they looked like they were like lying in the gutter or something, just drug addicts. But damn, they were still good back then.
Well, they jammed that night. I vaguely remember that show because, at the time you didn't really think Guns N' Roses. Wow,
Yeah.
It was so early that it was like when Poison opened up for me at some little Azusa nightclub. You don't really think much about it until they're major rock stars, And it was an awesome experience to be able to talk about that on this podcast show. It's really cool that we can reflect back to the people who, man, if you could have been there, and experienced that, it was awesome. And real quick, we talked a little about, and this was back at the reunion, I think, you talked about that gig at Bell High School with Van Halen's little brother.
No, that was at Arcadia High School.
Oh, I'm sorry, Arcadia High School. That's where Michael Anthony.
It was a battle. It was a battle of the bands.
Okay.
And we get there, and there's like 4 or 5 bands there. They're set up. They had different stages set up. Well, about 3 or 4 bands went on. Then we got on our stage and started getting ready to play. And everybody, for some reason, rushed the stage. They got right up, and there was like a couple of thousand kids there.
Now, yeah,
and they were going nuts. We must have had a really good gig because they were going nuts.
Well, it was a battle, if I recall.
Yeah,
and there was 2 large stages about 5 feet off the ground.
Yeah,
and there was a metal
2 or 3. Yeah,
there might have been 2 or 3, but there was a metal barricade that went around the front of the stages, probably 15 to 20 feet away from the front of the stage.
Yeah,
I remember there was a big gap there, and we went on stage, and we shouldn't have any problems, that people can't get up here and mess with our chords and all that stuff. And like you said, the minute we took the stage, for whatever reason, they knocked down the barriers, right?
Yeah.
They knocked down the barriers and just went right up to the stage. Some of them even climbed on the stage.
Yeah.
And they broke down the barriers that separated the crowd from the stage. The fans were literally throwing themselves on the stage. It was crazy.
It was crazy.
Maybe it was the excitement of knowing Van Halen was in the front row. Remember? They were all there
well,
that night.
It was Michael Anthony was there, and his little brother's band was there. They were called Sneaker, I believe.
Sneaker?
Sneaker, yeah.
Yeah, I vaguely remember that.
They ended up taking first place in that Battle of the Bands.
Right.
We took second place, but
we did.
Only because Michael Anthony's brother was in that band.
Yeah, I'm thinking Van Halen might have had something to do with that.
Yeah, I think so.
and so it's funny because I had in my show notes here, the electricity and the excitement in the air that night as Aftershock went on stage. It was awesome.
It really was.
Okay, so to switch topics, we have to talk about the great Claudia Bowman.
Oh, may she rest in peace.
May she rest in peace. That's exactly... I need some more water over here. It's exactly what I had written down. May she rest in peace. Claudia managed the band early on and got us some pretty cool gigs, some cool interviews with some cool radio stations, and one gig in particular was a concert at Bell High School with the band El Chicano, who at the time was famous for their hit song, or so I thought so, Groovin'. Groovin' on a Sunday afternoon.
That's not El Chicano. That's the Rascals.
At the time, I was really thought that they had written that song, but later realized it was written by the Young Rascals. And they had this number one hit in 1967. This was another one of those magical songs that most of the guys that were in Vietnam, and just a footnote, in 1968 would get uplifted just by hearing it. The Rascals had the right beat at the right time. I had to put that in there. Let's talk more about Claudia.
Okay.
So what can you tell me about this amazing woman?
She was very much into the band. She helped us secure so many gigs. For a while there, she used to work at the Lanterman State Hospital. I don't even know if it's there anymore. It's off the 57 freeway there in...
I remember it. We rehearsed there for a while.
Yeah, she was able to get us their stage. They had an auditorium with a huge stage, and she was able to get us that stage for us to rehearse in exchange for playing their dances.
That was so cool.
And it was great. Great experience for us to get on that stage and rehearse.
And that was a full-on concert stage with curtains, lights, the whole 9 yards.
Right. And she was very instrumental helping us very early on in our career. It wasn't really until she hooked up with Pat Bassich, they both started promoting shows together, that we started getting better gigs. I mean, like the Whiskey and a lot of concerts that we did, at the time.
Well, Claudia, and I don't want to go into your personal life, Bruce, but I'll let you talk about that. But she was instrumental in getting Aftershock to a higher level early on. Yeah. And then, of course, I went down to Hollywood and got us some major headlining shows at the Roxy and so on. And then we ended up playing Gazzarri's as a house band. But Claudia, early on, got us some really prominent engagements, like the Chapman College interview was really cool. I think she also got us the Mount Sac College over in Covina. She got us that interview, and she did some other things. And that concert with El Chicano was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was at Bell. We had a professional sound guy come in with his equipment, and everything was really professional. It was really good. I remember it vividly. We also did a show at the Temple Beth Ami.
Oh my God, I forgot all about that.
If you ever remember that show, Dean.
Temple Beth Ami, I think
Temple Beth, it was on Thanksgiving Day. I think it was 1984 or
was that in Covina?
It was in Covina.
Yeah.
The bands that played that night were Aftershock.
We opened up, I think, for somebody.
The Decadents played with us, and a band called Black Sheep.
Oh my God, Black Sheep. I remember those guys.
Yeah, Richard Blair.
Richard Blair.
And I don't know what you were doing backstage with the Decadence. Because when you came on stage, dude, you were hopping around like a freaking fish with his head chopped off.
I was completely stoned at the time.
You were frothing at the mouth, literally.
Well,
you must have done so much speed. You couldn't contain yourself.
It wasn't speed.
Oh,
it wasn't speed. I didn't like that stuff. It was just too wiry,
It's too wiry. But
it just made me too.
That's one thing I remember about that show. Other than that, it was a good show.
Do you remember the story he told of him and Freddie Mercury of Queen?
No.
Oh yeah, I was back there. He told me this huge story, and I don't know if it's true or not, but they were pretty good friends.
Wow.
And he told me this story one night hanging out with Freddie Mercury, and I'm not going to go into the details, but man,
yeah,
I was back. I came out. Yeah, I was lit. I was lit that night. El Chicano. We were talking about El Chicano, the hit song Groovin'. Okay, and already talked about that. And
right.
Claudia. We talked about Claudia.
Right. Pat Bassich.
Oh, let's talk about Pat. God, I haven't seen that guy in ages.
He was really, really great too in helping bands, get the better gigs back then, and instrumental in helping them along in their careers. He's still around. I don't see him much anymore. I don't think he promotes too many shows nowadays, but he does do sound for bands. I know that.
And Pat Bassich was real, I say instrumental, a little pun. He was instrumental in setting up. He was also a production manager. He was a show promoter. Remember when he set up the Chili Peppers over at the Green Door?
Of course.
He set up Poison to play with the Chili Peppers. We were there that night. I'm not sure if we were on the bill. And there was some lady playing. She was, anyway. And that's the first time I heard the Red Hot Chili Peppers. And man, I go, these guys are nuts.
Yeah, they were.
These guys are. You might have even been there with me that night.
It's a possibility, but the thing is, the Green Door was a great venue, and I really liked it a lot.
Yes, it was.
Too bad all these places don't exist anymore, but Aftershock never played the Green Door.
I thought we played there. Oh, I played there as Danger, I think, later on.
I played there with a couple of other different bands, and you played there with Danger once, and I remember we were on the same bill.
That's right.
I was with a band called Initial Shock. I don't know where all these shocks come from.
Initial Shock.
What
kind of name is that, man? Initial Shock.
I borrowed the shock from the other band.
You just couldn't let go of it.
I couldn't let go, And then you played with Danger that night, and I played with Initial Shock. I just remember that being a good gig.
Yeah, I vaguely remember it, but it was a good gig.
Yeah.
It's always a good gig. We had very few bad gigs.
Right.
Unless just nobody showed up and then we're like, okay, guys, let's rehearse.
And that's happened a couple of times, too.
Right, where you can hear a pin drop.
Yeah.
Who promoted this show?
I remember playing the Timbers one time, and we went on, and there were like 3 people there.
The bartender, the waitress, and the manager.
Yes. No, we actually had Terry and Lori Waterman were there.
That's funny.
But most of the time we had a good crowd,
No, yeah, and I do recall that show with Guns N' Roses now, and if you remember, Great White was playing. Mark Kennedy was the bass player. I think this might have been later on in Danger. I'm not sure, but we played with Great White, and I got hit in the head with a beer bottle. Were you?
Was that at the PVA?
No, the PVA was when we played with Great White, and Cheap Trick had played. And we got to use their light show, which was really cool.
Uh-huh.
And there was probably a few thousand kids at that show.
Right.
And we rented a bus from Licorice Pizza. It picked up all our fans from, remember when we did the bus thing, put a keg of beer on it and go pick up all our fans? Do you remember that?
Vaguely. Are you sure that wasn't with Danger?
It might have been. I don't know. I get the two mixed up because they were so, they just
kind of ran into each other.
Yeah, I just kept playing. I never missed a beat. Interesting. So
basically, Aftershock, the band was together. I was in Aftershock from 78 through 84 or 85. After the band, after I left the band, and I don't remember the reason, I joined a band called the Decadents.
Oh, you were playing guitar for them.
I played guitar, and I played bass for them for a while, too.
That's right.
And from 85 to about 92, I was with them. We didn't do, half as many gigs as Aftershock, but we did do a few gigs. I had a great experience, turned me on to some different kind of music, which I really enjoyed.
Right.
And then after the Decadents disbanded, and that was around 92, 93.
I don't know how you remember these dates.
1996. I'm just kind of
96.
96. I joined a cover band, and I stayed with them for about 20 years. Did a lot of gigs with them.
What was the name of that band?
That band was called Nomad.
Nomad. I remember you in that band.
Right, and I was with them for a long time. We did a lot of gigs. And then after Nomad, I kind of just took a break, and I really haven't been playing live since 2017. But I don't mind, my energy level is not as high as it used to be, so I don't mind not being in a band. But
you still pick up the guitar once in a while?
I still pick up the guitar. I can still play. I still do my recordings and my mixing and mastering and whatnot.
Awesome.
So I keep busy that way. I work still, so that keeps me busy. And that's awesome. About it. That's about it.
And I need to go back to when you had your recording studio set up in West Covina. Yeah. And the song that's been playing through this entire podcast interview is a song that Bruce and I played and recorded. And it was one of those songs, we just did it for fun. It was a lot of fun. Got some bottles. Remember, we got some bottles and we started clinking bottles together like we're at a party. and I'm yelling, "Hey, what's up? Hey, let's party!" So we're yelling and screaming. You were even getting involved with the yelling and the screaming.
Oh yeah.
And so I'm listening to it the other day, and I go, "Wow, this is a pretty cool song." And just so everyone knows, that song is available on Zedge as a ringtone for your phone, and it has been now for 6. I think Lois got on there the other day, and she has all of our old songs up as ringtones. I didn't know if you knew that, Bruce. And Party Animal is one of the most downloaded ringtone out of all the Aftershock originals.
That's funny you say that, because at the time we recorded it, I just thought it was a throwaway track. I didn't have any idea. That
you were practicing with your 4-track reel to reel at the time, or
it
whatever.
Was a cassette.
A cassette. That's right. And you were bouncing tracks. You kept bouncing tracks, right?
Yeah.
You'd record 4 tracks, and then we go, let's bounce it down to 1 and do it again. Let's bounce it down and do it again. And I think you did that 5 or 6 times. Pretty soon the tape's just going to fall apart.
Right, but that particular 4-track cassette thing I had was called the Tascam Porta Studio, and my God, I've recorded so many great tunes on that thing. Is unbelievable.
That was
Party
the Tascam, you said? Yeah.
Party Animal was just one of them. I mean, you and I did several songs of yours.
Hiding My Feelings. Did you ever find that one?
And then there was a couple of others that we did too that I have on cassette. I haven't had a chance to listen to them because I don't have a cassette player, but you and I did several songs together on that Porta Studio in the bedroom, if you remember.
Yeah, I remember vaguely, and I do know we did a song called "Baby, What You Doing Tonight." And I think I heard a Bachman-Turner Overdrive song later that I don't know if they copied our song or there was a baby in there somewhere.
Right.
And we did that song. Remember Run Around?
Oh, that was a fun song.
Baby, don't you give me the run around. Honey, don't you run like the speed of sound, because I told you once, told you twice, don't do it. No, don't do it. It was like Devo was real popular at the time. I wonder if we were influenced by Devo. Crack that whip.
Oh, by the way, I think that was one of the covers we used to do was Whip It.
We did Whip It.
Yeah.
We did Whip It for backyard parties.
we did a Foreigner tune. We did Feels Like the First Time. This was back when we first, when we were doing covers.
Feels Like the First Time.
We did a lot of different covers that were really cool.
I remember the keyboard was a bit tricky, but we pulled that one off pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're back live again, and so talking with Mr. Bruce Wayne Paller from the band Aftershock, lead guitar player, songwriter, singer, he does it all. And I wish him well in his future endeavors. But before we go, I want to play a track from a song that Bruce and I recorded called Party Animal. You want to hear that, Bruce?
You bet.
Man, it's been a long time. Here we go.
Okay.
Like a
what a great song, huh? Jeez.
You know, it sounded like we really had a good time with that one, man.
We did have fun. I remember I think we recorded most of the day.
Yeah,
on that,
we tried to create the party atmosphere, you know.
I think we did that. Definitely did.
Yeah.
And you know, and I want to leave everyone you know, with the impression Bruce is an amazing musician and still is today.
Thanks, brother.
And I really thank you for coming on the show today, Bruce. It's been a pleasure.
I enjoyed it immensely, dude.
And we got to reminisce a little bit about the old times,
oh,
which is
man,
kind of what this is all about.
That was great. Best time of my life.
Awesome. So I want to thank Bruce Wayne Paller for joining the Dean Vaughn podcast show here in Las Vegas. And I want to wish him well with his future endeavors. Bruce, in my opinion, is one of the most talented musicians I have ever worked with. And that's the truth, Bruce.
Thanks, brother.
And anyone who loves the Beatles and Jimi Hendrix can't be all that bad.
Oh, don't forget Led Zeppelin.
And Led Zeppelin. I want to thank my friends and fans for sticking around. And you can always visit my website at deanvaughnmusic.com for future episodes and more information about me. And again, thank you for listening to the Dean Vaughn Music Podcast Show. This is Dean Vaughn signing out.